Hello, welcome to the Eclectic Reader. Listen to great books and stories while you use your eyes and hands for other things. Now here's your host, Madison Mason.
Hi, it's Madison Mason. I'm glad you're enjoying the Gray Quarry Boys. Hang on for Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Buddy James. When they couldn't rouse Sue Marie that afternoon, the school nurse called County Hospital, and they sent an ambulance. It arrived silently, without all the screaming histrionics and flashing lights, but still sleek, red, white, and chrome. And the whole school saw it come and stared at Sue Marie Davenport, wheeled out unconscious and taken away, and they watched it go. Immediately, myths of explanation erupted like landmines, setting gossip fires that ran through the student body with a wrath, and Gwendy Mullis headed up the pack of whisperers. Sue Marie had stabbed herself over a B- in Algebra 2. No, she was carrying Mr. Gaunt's baby, and he tried to strangle her when she threatened to tell. No, that's stupid. She took too many of her mother's Milltown tranquilizers. She's a drug addict because her father's a doctor. And that's why she's so nice and sweet and quiet all the time, you know? The girls whispered and gasped behind their hands as the ambulance drove away with that weird Uncle Guy following in his square-bare four-door Nash Rambler. Her friends Alice and Meredith cried and acted and hugged each other in teenage fear for their girlfriend, poor Sue Marie. Buddy James stood off to one side of the crowd, alone as always, and watched the scene unfold, his sharp eyes following the vehicles until they turned the corner and disappeared. His face was expressionless, except for dark circles under those eyes, which saw everything, all the time. Buddy James looked old beyond his years. When he could no longer see the ambulance, he turned and scuffed away toward home, adjusting the Army surplus pack on his wiry shoulders and pulling his harmonica from his jeans pocket. Painful bent notes rolled out of the silver instrument and down his back, the kind of sounds you only heard over in Colored Town. No white boy was supposed to make sounds like that, but Buddy James did. He walked away from the crowd, a strange loner, friendless and quiet. His head bobbed slowly up and down as he made the music cry and thought about that girl, Sue Marie. "You want another Coca-Cola?" the waitress drawled. No thanks. Maybe coffee," Sheriff Tuttle answered. He polished off the last bite of his cheeseburger and pressed the empty Coke bottle into her hand. Cream. Maybe a chunk of that pecan pie." He glanced down at his belly and hesitated. Then he thought, to hell with it, and looked around the diner full of farmers and truckers going about their business, the sun shining in the spring windows, warming the world a little bit more each day. Their lives were fine. They weren't the Davenports. Probably none of them even knew two people had died 3 hours earlier, not 15 miles away, crushed and beheaded under a cotton truck. Nope, they chewed their food, went about their business in this world, in this moment, right now, heeding only what affected them directly. And that's as it should be, he thought. But he wanted to check that Buick. No reason it shouldn't have stopped. The Davenports weren't careless people. He didn't like it. Buddy James ambled down Oak Street, blowing on his harp. All the houses looked alike, all built the same time by the same men from the same plans, post-war, 2-bedroom, white-clapboard bungalows, each with a concrete stoop and a carport. He passed 512 and heard the old blue hound behind the Venetian blinds howling to his harmonica. He pulled on the notes and bent them till they hurt the dog's ears. "Wow, wow, wow," he wailed. "Ow, ow," came the hound's mournful harmony. "Stupid dog," he snorted, and moved on to his house. He unlocked the door and stepped inside the silent living room, dark and stinking of dead cigarettes. Empty glasses stood abandoned on the dark cherry coffee table, leaving white rings where they had sweated into the wood. He shoved the harmonica back into his jeans and went through the living room to his small bedroom. He dropped his knapsack and flopped onto the unmade bed. From under the mattress he pulled a squash pack of Lucky Strikes and he lit one. He lay back, exhaled, staring at the ceiling. He had to get the house straightened up before they came home from work. That was his job. But right now he still had time. He could blow smoke rings and watch them float. Bob Tuttle pulled up in front of the barber shop and got out. With slow deliberation, he crossed the intersection where the accident had been. The clouds had blown from the sky and the sun was making things a bit warmer, despite a chilly spring breeze walking across the farms. He stepped back and forth, measuring the crossroads, moving to one side of the blacktop while Willie Charney's pickup rolled to a stop at the sign. "Afternoon, Sheriff Tuttle, sir," Willie smiled. "You out walking?" "No, just cogitating, Willie. How you doing?" "Oh, fine. Self?" "I'm good. Say hey for me." "I'll do that. You take care now, yeah?" Willie grinned, big white teeth shining out of his hardy brown face. His voice bore a lazy joy that made the sheriff smile back for the first time that day. He liked old Willie. Some men were born to spread good. Willie was like that. Good man, he thought, as the pickup eased across the intersection and shifted gears through the town. Now, everybody stops for this sign. Why didn't the Davenports? No skid marks? Why did they drive full speed into that goddamn cotton truck? Bob rechecked Jerome Atkins' story just to see if he remembered anything else. The poor old barber was so visibly rattled by his experience that several of his regular customers, when they heard him tell the story, said they'd come back another time. Nobody wanted to take a chance having a distraught barber with sharp scissors around their head, or shaving their throat with a fine razor in shaky hands. Everybody liked him all right, but Jerome sat alone most of the day in his red barber chair, losing money, paring his nails and muttering to himself in the mirrors as the grisly scene played over and over in his mind. "I just cut Doc's hair yesterday for the trip, Bob. We were talking about it." "Oh, okay, that's pretty much the same thing you said this morning." "Well, that's what happened, Bob. Honestly, I wish I'd never looked up. Why don't you knock off for the rest of the day? Go on home, Jerome." Jerome glanced around the empty shop. You think I should, huh, Bob?" "I do, Jerome. You had a hard day." "Well, I believe I will, Bob. Maybe I'll just go on home then." "Oh, it was awful." Jerome sat there unmoving, not meeting the sheriff's eyes, alone in his linoleum and mirrored world, a hideous accident scene just spinning around in his head. Sheriff Tuttle drove to his small office and made out his report on a desk of scattered papers. To a casual observer, the clutter on his desktop was indication of disorder, but there was nothing confused about it. Bob Tuttle knew exactly what and where everything was. Each small detail, each note, each thought might be strung haphazard on a sprawling matrix, but it all had perfect order in Bob Tuttle's head, and one thing kept bothering him. He made a note to go by the salvage lot and check the brakes of that Buick.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of The Eclectic Reader. Please go on to the next numbered episode to continue. Also, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you'd like to help support the project, you can donate under Madison Mason at Patreon. And please, check out our website, kltkrdr.com, for more information.
Hi, this is Madison Mason. I want to personally thank you for listening to The Eclectic Reader and invite you to share your experience, your thoughts, and your suggestions. We have many great books lined up for the future, but if you have requests for anything that is in the public domain, please email us at kltkrdr@gmail.com.
kltkrdr@gmail.com